My name is Finn. Growing up, I was always the quiet one. I did my own thing, but had solidified myself in a friend group. None of us popular, none of us outcasts. I took this with me into college, and it was there where I truly realized the part of my life I was missing. The friends I made there had an abundance of crazy stories and adventures that could silence a room. Mainly, Lexi. She had travelled across the world, mostly by herself, which opened her up to meeting some really interesting people and getting herself into some really crazy scenarios. I wanted that. Was it out of my comfort zone? Absolutely. But that's where we thrive, right? So, after college, I asked her for some advice on how to organise a solo trip. I wanted a backpack, live it rough, stay with some host families or in hostels, like she had done before. She asked where I wanted to go, and we got talking about my possibilities. I chose to travel across Asia. It's somewhere I'd never been, and the ranging cultures from country to country, city to city, intrigued me. I loved the way Lexi had spoken about each country: India, Uzbekistan, Thailand, Vietnam, South Korea. So she put me in contact with people she'd met along the way, people to house me or offer me jobs, and I planned my route. Lexi set me up with places to stay in most instances, despite the occasional hostel. The trip was amazing. It brought out a side of me that I knew I had, but I rarely showed. I was talking to strangers, trying to speak to the locals in their respective languages, embracing the culture wherever I was. I lived day to day, from sleeping on packed buses to hitchhiking with strangers who soon became new friends. I stayed with an array of host families, all provided me with different experiences, and I am now on my way to stay with the final one before the end of my trip. I pulled out the itinerary that Lexi and I had come up with months prior. This last family I'm staying with was one of the few that required me to be on time. They lived in an isolated village in the mountains of Japan, and were expecting me to be on a certain date at a certain time. Whilst Lexi hadn't actually stayed with this family, she had planned to. Her trip had been cut short due to personal circumstances, and she never got the chance to meet them. She had communicated with the family through a mutual friend, as the family didn't have much access to internet and apparently spoke very little English. All the information I had was the name of the village and to go to the main square where I would greet the family, and that's basically all I know. That's what makes this so exciting. I also knew the name of the family, the Nomura family. The journey was exhausting. I had taken a ferry from South Korea into Honshu, Japan. From there, I had taken a series of buses before having to walk for about 30 minutes up a small dirt road through the trees. Thankfully, the bus driver knew where the village was, because when I got off in the middle of nowhere, I would have been useless with just my map and with very limited Japanese. He pointed me in the right direction, but the journey was worth it. The village is beautiful. It is large, situated on a grassy plain that rests alongside a small mountain, which overlooked the traditional wood houses. As I walked its streets, most people smile and nod. I'm guessing there aren't many outsiders that visit this place. I feel privileged to be one of them. The houses are made of wood and clay, providing a complementary rustic appearance to the bright green glass below. Some boasted large front doors, while others opted for a more traditional sliding door. I walked the streets in awe of the hustle and bustle going around me, contrasted by the natural, overwhelming beauty of the mountain above. I soon see an area that is clearly the main square of the village, a clearing in the middle of the wooden houses, with a beautiful statue standing tall in the center. I go to inspect the statue when a girl approaches me, I guess mid-20s, and smiles. "Finn?" she asks, focusing on pronouncing my name correctly. "Yes, hi," I responded. "Are you Nomura family?" Yes, she excitedly replies, "Welcome, I am Ren." "Hi Ren," I introduce myself. "My name is Finn. Thank you so much for agreeing to have me." Her English seems very good. I felt comforted that I was able to speak with someone and had been shown around, as I was under the impression that there would be a language barrier. "Please, it's fine. We are very excited," she says. "Would you like to come with me?" Of course I agree. I'm excited to see where I'll be staying during this last week of my trip. On the way to her house, Ren tells me that her family doesn't speak English, except for her mother who she is teaching. Ren says that she learned English when she moved out of the village to Kyoto, where she was able to take classes. As we talk, the houses around me seem to grow larger and further apart. Ren says that her house is situated just outside the village, and essentially that we are in the area where the richer families live. All in all, her house is just around 20 minutes from the village square, down a beautiful green path, overhung by shrubs and flowers. It is more isolated than the houses in the village centre, which I'm also happy about, as I'd be able to get the most out of both the village life and the natural beauty that surrounds it. Ren's house is beautiful. Intricate designs dance on its light brown rooftops, looming over its large front door frame. The wooden walls on the outer house pristine as if newly made. The isolation of the house enhances its beauty, as there are no distractions to take you away from its bold presence. I've hit the jackpot here. Ren opened the door and welcomed me inside. The house is split into two parts: the main area with the dining table and kitchen, and an area with the bedroom and bathroom. The two sections of the house are connected by a small walkway that takes you outside, providing a stunning view of a flowery garden below. The main area hosts a dining table that lays close to the ground. Just off that, a kitchen area, and an area with what looks like instruments. In the far corner of the room, a small house shrine. Across the connecting walkway, the sleeping area, a long, wide corridor hosting rooms either side, each with a traditional sliding door made of what I think is rice paper. Ren shows me to my room, the third one down. My room is simple: a mattress laying on the floor and a small table perched below an open window too high to see out of. Like the rest of the house, the walls and floor are made of wood. I set my bag down and unpack before going to meet her family. I met the rest of Nomuras over dinner. Ren had a sister, Hina, who is quiet. She's younger than Ren, around 17, and I feel she was shy around me. Ren's mother, Seiko, is very sweet. She tried to use what English she had to make me feel welcome, and offered me more food than I could handle. Ren's father, however, seems less welcoming. He is a serious man, speaking only to his wife throughout the meal after greeting me with a slight nod. Strangely, I am told to refer to him as Father Nomura. Whilst I didn't expect this, I won't question it, as they're doing me a favour to be letting me stay here. I assume it's a sign of respect. Dinner, however, is lovely. Saiko has clearly put a lot of effort into it. I am already starting to feel comfortable here when Ren pulls me aside as we all part ways from the dining table. "Finn," she grabbed my arm, locking eyes with mine. "The last room is the sleeping area. That's my grandparents' room. The room at the end of the corridor. You aren't allowed to go in there." "Oh, I didn't even realize your grandparents are staying here too," I reply, having not seen them. "Yes, they are," she says. "And you must make sure you don't go near their room, okay?" Okay, I find that weird. Obviously I'm not going to be going into anyone else's room, but if she's going to warn me about that, why only warn me about the grandparents' room? I am just back from my walk around the village. She gave me a quick tour, best she could before it got dark, before we headed back to her house. I didn't see any of her family on the way through the main area, or in the corridor housing my bedroom. I thank Ren, and say I'd see her tomorrow. Exhausted from my long journey, I lay down to sleep. I wake up to the sound of a whisper. The whisper is a harsh, long one. I can't make out what is being said. I think it's in Japanese. It's a fast whisper. Sounds like a chant. Someone is repeating something. I sit up and peer through the darkness at my sliding door. It's coming from the corridor, almost as if right outside my room. It starts to speed up even more, repeating the same incoherent phrase over and over. What the fuck? What's it saying? Suddenly, the whispering stops. I sit there in silence, waiting for something to happen. Footsteps from the end of the corridor. The sound of footsteps increasing as they quickly approach my door, before passing it, seemingly heading for the exit. As they pass my door, I make out a silhouette through its paper. It moved fast. Weird. I got out of bed and edged towards the door. I slowly slid it open, peering into the dark corridor before me. It's empty. I look down at one end. Nothing. Then down the other. Also nothing. I'm about to close the door and head back to sleep when I see wet footprints. They appear to be coming from the room at the end of the corridor and lead all the way out to the connecting walkway outside. I can clearly see that whomever made them was barefoot. Some of the footprints of them so clear that I could count each toe. I begrudgingly followed them. Just as I'm about to open the door onto the connecting walkway outside, I hear the door open of one of the bedrooms behind me. It's Ren. Ren? I stutter. Someone just ran by my room. She hushes me. It's my grandmother, she whispers. She has some problems at night. She runs into the village often at night. Father will get her. I figure she means night terrors, or sleepwalking, or something. Spooked, I apologize to Ren and head back to my room. The cold air wakes me up the next morning. The light streams through the open window above as I sit up in bed. I have no idea what time it is. I could have slept for ages after all that travelling. I should probably get up and see what's happening. I roll out of bed and sit on the floor whilst I go through my suitcase. I get changed and turn towards the bedroom door. I'm freaked out about last night, but it's my first night here, so I'm definitely not going to bring it up. I walk out into the corridor, and as I take one last look at the bedroom before sliding the door shut, I notice footprints. They are the same barefoot, wet footprints I had seen in the corridor last night. My heart flutters as I scan their route. These were different footprints. Like last night, these came out of the room at the end of the corridor, but instead of leading to the exit, they lead into my room, towards my bed. I see two wet footprints planted on the floor at the foot of my bed. Ren's grandmother had been watching me sleep.